Hello. I'm so excited and so honored to be a part of the Imagine If Festival. It's like so many people who've been presented in the festival and been part of this festival. I too was inspired the very first time I heard Sir Ken Robinson's TED Talk. It changed my life. And to think and to imagine if at some point in my life I would have the opportunity to not only meet Kate Robinson and visit with her, but also to be invited to be a part of this is just something that I never dreamed of, and I'm just so excited to be here. I've been working in technology in schools for over 10 years and have spent a lot of time trying to increase student engagement through the use of technology. And for a long, long time, I called myself a technology integration specialist. And about 5 years ago, I decided that innovation was really more about what I was trying to do. I was trying to increase student engagement, but what I really was trying to do is help those students who struggled in school like I did, and to help them to be excited about school and to be a part of it. So I really decided that innovation was what I wanted to do. And just a few days after making this decision to change my title, I watched Sir Ken Robinson's second TED Talk where he said, "Innovation is hard." And I thought, wow, I just changed my title to innovation, and now he's telling me it's hard. Well, rather than change my title again, I embraced that challenge, and I knew that innovation is what I wanted to do, and so I've been working really hard at that, and it's only in the last year or so that I've really found a community of people who've helped me see that it's not just innovation and it's not just technology, it's a real wholesale change that education needs. And it's become a passion of mine. And this change is not only something that's needed, but something that I've found is possible. With the great people of the What School Could Be community and by doing screenings of the documentary with Sir Ken of Most Likely to Succeed, I found this calling and this opportunity to share this message of change. To take Sir Ken's lead, he said that this was a grassroots movement and that this should start at the beginning and this should start at the lowest level. Well, my strength and my passion is to talk to teachers, and if you might say it's my element. With that being said, I've spent the last year and a half spending as much time talking to teachers and sharing this message as often and as much as I can. Teachers are the ones that can impact this change on their students from day one. When their students walk through the door, they can make these changes in their own spaces and not wait and not hope that the system changes, but actually be the system as we've heard. So the following video that I'm going to share with you is a talk that I had recently with some teachers that were so engaged and so excited to learn about what they have as their potential and what potential their students have. And it was a real honor and it was so fun to visit with them. And like I said, it's my favorite thing in the world. And so many of the people in this festival have started movements and have started initiatives and programs, and what I've found and what I've learned is that we all have a role in this movement of change. And this is my role, and this is one I'm happy to take on, and this one that is my passion and I love to do. So I hope you enjoy this talk and the idea of imagining if we just started from the very ground up. We just started making the change that we feel is so needed in education and in everything for all of us. I'm excited to be here with you guys today. Thank you for letting me come and speak with you. Today I want to talk about unique. I want to talk about the word unique. I think we all kind of have this belief, we all have this understanding, and we all would agree, and it's kind of like a thing. It's like, well, we're all different, we're all unique. But I want to kind of think about that in real terms for just a minute, right? So obviously you could go really high down and a lot of levels to that discussion, but some basics. We're all in this room human, right? So no uniqueness about that really. We're all the same species. We all happen to live in the same area, right, of the world. We're all adults, almost. All of us are adults.
which is also, that doesn't really, there's not a lot of uniqueness there. We've all, at different ages of adulthood, but adults nonetheless. And then if we go down a little bit further, we're all educators. We're all in the field of education. We're working to teach kids, to help kids learn and all that kind of stuff. Also, not a ton of unique, right? Because, that's unique to a lot of people, but in this room, we're still basically the same. So if we drill down further, we might teach different subjects. We might teach different grade levels, but there may be multiple of us who do that. But where it gets down to the real uniqueness of who we are is maybe when we get to hobbies. Everyone here have a hobby of some sort? Yes? Okay. So how many of you, so I know one person in the crowd, so I'm going to ask you, how many of you your hobby is to load everything, every kid, every blanket, every chair, every stool, every cooler of that you own into a car and drive to a random ball field someplace and sit out in the freezing cold or blazing hot temperatures all day long? How many of you that is your hobby? Okay, I have two. One is you still do it, but out of this group, there are two people who have that unique hobby. To everyone else, it sounds hideous. I can assure you I've had that experience, and some days it is. But it's fun. That's what we choose to do. All of us have different hobbies. Some of us may want to draw. Maybe we like to read. But as we drill down to what makes us unique, it's what separates us, our own interests, our own passions, our own loves, and the things that we love to do that other people may not understand or know about or feel, do differently. Well, if we think about it, our students are exactly the same. We can do the same thing with our students. We can start at, they're all children. We can go, they all live in the same county and are in the same school district. They're all public school students. They all come to the same public school. Now, we get close, we get them in the building, and now they're at different grade levels. They're older, they're younger, and so they go to different subjects. So it starts to get narrowed down. But then they have different, when we get right down to the student, they have different skills. They have different passions. They have different challenges. They have different strengths. They have different weaknesses. And unfortunately, the system of school that we know, for the last 130 years we've had this system of school, is not designed to celebrate uniqueness. And it's not our fault. It's not that we've decided that we don't want anyone to be unique. It's something that we've inherited. It's something that's happened over generation, over generation, over generation. For 130 years, we've been doing school the exact same way. Now, when it was adopted, when we started school like this, it had a real need. There was a real need for it. We were going from a farming agricultural world to an industrial world, and we needed new skills and new talents and new ways to produce things and factories and all of that stuff. It was a very successful model for 1892 and for many years beyond that. But the world we live in now, if I'm going to go out on a limb and say things have changed just a little bit since 1892. Most of us don't drive the same car we drove 5 years ago. Most of us don't have the same phone that we had 2 years ago. We are in a world where things are changing at a rapid pace. Things are changing all the time, and it changes month by month, day by day, some days minute by minute. But yet our system for teaching is still 130 years old. We've changed it very, very little. And the thing about that is our kids are not anything like those kids 130 years ago. The result that we're wanting when school kids graduate is a completely different result and a completely different goal than it was 130 years ago. We have a different economy. The economy drove that change then. The economy is different now. We have different needs from our students. We need different sets of skills, different strengths, different passions. So Sir Ken Robinson is a hero of mine. He's the one who's helped me understand things that I believed better than anyone else. In all of his talks, his famous TED Talk, I've watched it many, many times. He has 3 of them. The first one is just amazing because it just talks about creativity in schools. But I want to talk for a few minutes about what I think is his best analogy, his best approach to describing what school is like. He says that our schools now resemble much more of a factory industrial model, when education in of itself is more of an agricultural model. Right? A factory model is we take things and we go through, we come out with the same thing. And he says education is more like agriculture, in that it's more like a gardener. The plant is going to grow itself. He says we don't screw the roots into the ground. We don't paint the petals on. We don't attach the flower petals and the leaves. The thing's going to grow itself. But what we can do, what the gardener does, is creates the right conditions for that plant to grow and to achieve its maximum potential. I think that analogy is so right because if you think about a factory, I've been in a few factories, and it's really cool to take a tour of a factory, but what happens in a factory is you have this raw material, whether it be steel, or in Hot Springs where I used to live, they have a rubber factory, a rubber band factory. And so they have these big trucks that bring in rubber bands, bring in rubber, and then they take it and it goes through this process, and you can watch it all the way through. And at the end of the line, you have a ton of rubber bands, and they all look just alike. And if that's the metaphor, the description of our school, that doesn't really make sense. Ours is more like a garden. And from the very inception of a garden, we don't, most of us, say we're going to plant all tomatoes or all potatoes. Or if it's a flower garden, we just do roses. From the very inception of making a garden, we want a lot of different varieties. We're going to want a lot of different products. We have different tastes, different palettes, different things that we want to get from it. So we start with unique seeds and unique ideas from the very get-go in a garden. And we have this row that does this and this row that does that. My father-in-law is a master gardener. People ask him 2 things. How's the fishing and how's the garden going? You got a garden this year? And I've had the great privilege to help him in that garden a few times. And last year I was helping him plant corn. And so I thought, we tilled the row. We got some corn seed. We're going to dig a hole, put it in. He goes, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this bucket of Epsom salt and then go down the row and put out Epsom salt. I was like, we're planting corn, right? He's like, no, but we got to do this. I was like, all right, so we ready for the seed? He's like, no, take this bucket of old eggshells. He'd been saving eggshells for months. He says, he's crumbled up all these eggshells. He goes, take these eggshells and sprinkle them in the row. I was like, okay. And then he said, all right, now we'll plant the corn seed. And he's like, this is how far down you go. This is how you put it in, and then you cover it in, and then you go to the next one. He had this prescription for growing corn. The cucumbers had a whole different set of things we did. When we look at a garden, we have a whole different goal in mind, and we have all of these varieties that have different needs in order for them to flourish and do great. That's the uniqueness of our students. If we're going to grow them, if we're going to have them reach their potential, if we're going to have them be the best thing that they could possibly be, we need to know who they are. We need to know what conditions are right for them. Do you read better this way? Do you learn math better that way? How can I help you reach your absolute best potential, right? So we need to know what their skills are. We need to know what their passions are. We need to know what they love to do, what really gets them excited, because the problem that I hear a lot is the kids are not interested. They're just kind of hard to deal with. They just want to walk around. Like they're just all out of their seats and they can't focus for very long and all this. Well, we need to figure out why. Why is our corn not growing right? Did we skip the eggshells? I don't know. But we got to know what every little detail is for every one of our kids if we're going to get them to grow and flourish and be the best that they are. I had an interesting thing happen to me a few weeks ago. This is a hard thing to describe to lots of people, but when I do, they understand and they get it. But I was at church a few weeks ago, and I was visiting with a couple ladies, and we were in the kitchen. And we were just talking, and they were asking me, Chad, what are you up to these days? What are you working on? Are you still doing the technology? You're still doing the iPads and everything? Yeah. I was like, but I'm really kind of working on something else now. And they're like, oh yeah, what is it? I was like, I'm really trying to get school to change. I'm trying to really reimagine school. I'm trying to look at what school might be if we really thought about the uniqueness of our students and we really kind of hit them where they're at and get them to reach their full potential. So we have more excited, more engaged, more just school's a fun place to be. I want school to be a place where they want to be. And they both were just kind of like, oh, okay. They didn't really get it. So the conversation goes on for a couple minutes more, and then one of them pointed out, said, hey, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I just put that cactus, that succulent cactus thing, I put it over in the sink. And I was like, okay. She goes, yeah. She goes, I've noticed that where it's been, it's not growing very good. It looks horrible. It's not doing well at all, and it was really, really dry. She said, so I put it in the sink, and I've been watering it every day or so, trying to get it to come back, and it's just not doing a whole lot. I was like, okay. She goes, but here's what I'm going to do. She said, I've decided I'm going to take it home with me and put it out on my back porch because I have a whole bunch of other plants like this, and some more cactus, some more succulents out there, and for some reason they are thriving. She said, so I'm going to take that one. If everybody's okay, I'm going to take that one and take it home and put it out on the back porch and see if I can't get it going again and see if I can't get it to look like it's supposed to look and be like it's supposed to be. And I just went, that's it. They said, what? I was like, that's what I'm trying to do at school. We have all of these kids and we have all of these situations where they're just, how do we get them? How do we help them to get to that next spot? How do we do that? I was like, what you just described is what I'm trying to get us to do and what I'm trying to bring awareness to that we can do for our students to find where they might thrive and where they might find their success and they might be able to grow and become the thing that they have the potential to be. That difference in the factory model is you have raw material that all turns into the same thing. In an agricultural model, in our model, in the school model, we have this raw potential. Unique, raw potential that when we find the right conditions and we create the conditions for it to grow and achieve it, that's the difference between the agricultural and the industrial model for us. Now, everyone that I talk to about this, when they become aware, when they really think about it, awareness is a big deal. People are aware of it. They're like, hey, all right, well, I hadn't really thought about that. I'm glad to know. And when you read the books that I've read and you watch the videos and you have talks and you have meetings and stuff like that, it's real easy to get inspired. To say, that sounds like a really good idea. But imagine if we were more than aware. Imagine if we were more than inspired. One of the issues that we have is we're like, well, the system is so big. Chad, I'm aware and I'm inspired, but the system has got me, there's so many things that we have to do. There's so many requirements, and the system is the thing that we're battling. And if it's not my building, it's our district is not all on board. And if it's not our district, it's our state is not all on board. And if it's not our state, it's the feds, and it's this whole system. What can we do about the system? Imagine if we didn't wait on the system to change for us. Imagine if we just started doing it ourselves. Imagine if we were just looking at our students differently. Imagine if we just started ourselves in our own little ways, in our own little places. Because the other thing that Sir Ken Robinson says, and Kate, I've heard her say it, and her husband Anthony, I've heard them all say it over and over. We are the system. Sir Ken Robinson said, if you are in the business of education, you are the system. If you have a class of kids that you're in charge of all day, you are the system for those kids. If you have kids come in and out of your class all day, you are the system for that group of kids. So you don't, what if we didn't wait on the building? What if we didn't wait on the district? Imagine if we didn't wait on the state or the feds. Imagine if we just started and doing it ourselves. We are the system. You can make a difference tomorrow. Just by walking into your class and when your students come in and go, look at all this potential that I have. What conditions do I need to change? What conditions do I need to investigate that might help this student become a little bit better or a little bit more courageous or a little bit more engaged or a little bit more excited about being here? Imagine if school was a place where kids were dying to get in. Imagine if they showed up and like, what are we going to do today? I have so many questions. I have so much to do. I have so much I want to learn. It's possible. That's what they're bred to do, is they just start and they just do all that. So that's it. I feel like my mission and what I'm trying to do is, yes, raise awareness, yes, inspire, but also to push and to encourage you all to be the system of change at your own level. And eventually, if enough of us do it, buildings change, districts change, states change, everything changes. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because our kids are better for it on our level. That's it. Thanks. That's all.